Have you ever wondered why, despite all the things women seem strong in, there are certain hidden weaknesses that every man should know? Weaknesses that, if you understand them, can change how you connect, love, and build relationships? That's exactly what we're diving into today. The top 9 female weaknesses every man must know, explored through the lens of Stoic wisdom, especially Marcus Aurelius's timeless insights. Before we begin, if you're new here, make sure to subscribe and hit that like button. And don't just watch halfway, stick with me until the end, because understanding these weaknesses could transform your love life forever. Alright, let's begin. The first weakness every man must understand about women is emotional sensitivity. Now, let me ask you this. Have you ever said something to a woman, maybe completely harmless in your mind, but the way she reacted made you think, wait, what just happened? One moment everything felt fine, and the next she's distant, upset, or unusually quiet, and you're standing there scratching your head, replaying the words in your mind like a broken record. That, my friend, is emotional sensitivity. And listen, it's not a flaw. It's not about being too emotional or too weak. In fact, it's what makes women incredibly compassionate, nurturing, and able to feel life with such depth. But here's the catch. That same depth also means small things you don't even notice, can cut her more deeply than you ever intended. Think about it. You come home after a long day, drained, and you just want to sit in silence. She asks how your day was, and you respond with a short, "It was fine." To you, that's nothing. You're just tired. But to her, that little response can feel like rejection. She might start wondering, why isn't he opening up to me? Did I do something wrong? Is he upset with me? Have you experienced that before? Where she seems upset, but you honestly didn't do anything wrong. This is exactly what I mean. Marcus Aurelius once said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." Realize this and you will find strength. But women, because of this sensitivity, often wrestle with outside events. Your words, your silence, even your body language. To them, the outside world isn't just events, it's signals. And they read those signals with incredible precision. Now let me share a quick story. A close friend of mine once told me about a fight with his girlfriend. He couldn't figure it out. Apparently, she was upset because he forgot to say goodnight before falling asleep. He laughed it off, thought it was silly. But here's the truth, she wasn't mad about the words. She was hurt because to her that goodnight meant, I care. I'm thinking of you before I rest. When he forgot, she didn't just miss a word, she felt forgotten. See the difference? And here's where most men slip up. They think sensitivity means she's overreacting. But what if you flip that perspective? What if her sensitivity is simply her way of loving deeply, of caring so much that even the smallest things hold meaning? Ask yourself, how would you feel if the person you love didn't notice your effort, didn't acknowledge the little things you do? Wouldn't it sting? That's what emotional sensitivity really is, a heightened awareness of love, connection, and belonging. So what's the lesson here? Pay attention. Don't dismiss the small things. Compliment her when she's not expecting it. Notice her effort. Say the goodnight text. Share a hug that lingers just a little longer, because for her, those small gestures are not small at all. They are everything. And once you understand this weakness, you stop seeing it as a burden. You see it as a gift. A reminder that love, at its deepest level, is built not on grand gestures, but on tiny everyday choices. The second weakness you need to understand about women is overthinking. Tell me honestly, have you ever sent a short text like, "I'll call you later," and then got busy and completely forgot? In your mind, it's no big deal, right? Life happens. But then when you finally call her the next day, she's distant, a little colder than usual. And you're left wondering, wait, what did I do wrong? That, my friend, is overthinking. See, women have this incredible ability to analyze things. But when that ability goes into overdrive, it can turn small, ordinary moments into big emotional puzzles. A simple delayed text becomes, why didn't he call? Did he lose interest? Was I too clingy? Is there someone else? One unanswered question in her mind can snowball into a whole chain of doubts. And here's the thing, you've probably done the same at some point, haven't you? Maybe not in relationships, but think about when your boss gave you a short email without a smiley face. Or when a friend didn't laugh at your joke. Didn't your mind replay it a little? Didn't you wonder, did I mess up? Now imagine that, but amplified by the depth of emotional investment women often bring into love. Marcus Aurelius once said, If it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it. And that's a powerful lesson here. When a woman tends to overthink, clarity becomes one of the greatest gifts you can give her. A vague promise, a half-hearted answer, or a delayed explanation can open the floodgates to her imagination. And trust me, her imagination will often create scenarios 10 times worse than reality. Let me share a little story. A guy I know had this habit of being very casual with his words. He'd say things like, "I'll see you soon," or "I'll let you know later." To him, it was just how he spoke. But his girlfriend, she started feeling uncertain. Every soon that stretched into days, every later that never came, made her doubt his seriousness. She wasn't angry at the delays, she was hurt by the uncertainty. But what if you flipped that perspective? What if her sensitivity is simply her way of loving deeply, of caring so much that even the smallest things hold meaning? Ask yourself, how would you feel if the person you love didn't notice your effort, didn't acknowledge the little things you do? Wouldn't it sting? That's what emotional sensitivity really is, a heightened awareness of love, connection, and belonging. So what's the lesson here? Pay attention. Don't dismiss the small things. Compliment her when she's not expecting it. Notice her effort. Say the goodnight text. Share a hug that lingers just a little longer, because for her, those small gestures are not small at all. They are everything. And once you understand this weakness, you stop seeing it as a burden. You see it as a gift. A reminder that love, at its deepest level, is built not on grand gestures, but on tiny everyday choices. The second weakness you need to understand about women is overthinking. Tell me honestly, have you ever sent a short text like, "I'll call you later," and then got busy and completely forgot? In your mind, it's no big deal, right? Life happens. But then when you finally call her the next day, she's distant, a little colder than usual. And you're left wondering, wait, what did I do wrong? That, my friend, is overthinking. See, women have this incredible ability to analyze things. But when that ability goes into overdrive, it can turn small, ordinary moments into big emotional puzzles. A simple delayed text becomes, "Why didn't he call? Did he lose interest? Was I too clingy? Is there someone else?" One unanswered question in her mind can snowball into a whole chain of doubts. And here's the thing, you've probably done the same at some point, haven't you? Maybe not in relationships, but think about when your boss gave you a short email without a smiley face, or when a friend didn't laugh at your joke. Didn't your mind replay it a little? Didn't you wonder, did I mess up? Now imagine that, but amplified by the depth of emotional investment women often bring into love. Marcus Aurelius once said, "If it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it." And that's a powerful lesson here. When a woman tends to overthink, clarity becomes one of the greatest gifts you can give her. A vague promise, a half-hearted answer, or a delayed explanation can open the floodgates to her imagination. And trust me, her imagination will often create scenarios 10 times worse than reality. Let me share a little story. A guy I know had this habit of being very casual with his words. He'd say things like, "I'll see you soon," or "I'll let you know later." To him, it was just how he spoke. But his girlfriend, she started feeling uncertain. Every soon that stretched into days, every later that never came, made her doubt his seriousness. She wasn't angry at the delays, she was hurt by the uncertainty. Overthinking filled the silence where clarity should have been. Now here's a question for you. How many times have you lost patience because she read too much into things? Maybe you rolled your eyes thinking, she's making drama over nothing. But pause for a second. Isn't that just her way of showing she cares? If she didn't value you, if she didn't love you, she wouldn't bother analyzing your words at all. Indifference is silent. Love questions. So how do you handle overthinking? By being steady, consistent, and clear. If you say you'll call, call. If you can't, let her know. Don't leave spaces for her imagination to run wild. Because the truth is, her mind will fill those spaces anyway, and usually with worst-case scenarios. Here's the wisdom. Overthinking isn't her attempt to frustrate you. It's her way of protecting her heart, of trying to decode where she stands with you. The more certainty you give, the less her mind needs to wander. And once you understand that, you stop seeing her overthinking as a weakness and instead as an opportunity. An opportunity to step up, to reassure, and to love her with the kind of steadiness that silences all her doubts. The third weakness every man must understand is a woman's deep desire for security. And let's clear something right away. When I say security, I don't just mean money. Sure, financial stability matters, but this goes way beyond that. It's about emotional safety, trust, and knowing that the person she's giving her heart to won't suddenly vanish when things get hard. So let me ask you, have you ever been in a relationship where you weren't sure where you stood? Maybe she wasn't clear about her feelings. Maybe her actions didn't match her words, and you felt that uncertainty gnawing at you. Frustrating, right? That's exactly how women feel when they don't feel secure with a man. For a woman, love without security feels like walking on shaky ground. She can smile, she can laugh, she can even say she's okay, but deep inside, there's this quiet storm of worry. Will he stay? Can I trust him? Am I safe giving him all of me? Marcus Aurelius once said, "If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it." Think about that. For women, the estimate of your consistency, whether you'll show up, whether you'll keep your word, matters more than anything else. If you cancel plans often, if you say you'll change but don't, if you disappear when she needs you most. Her mind doesn't just register disappointment, it registers danger. Emotional danger. Let me share a story. A friend of mine was dating a girl who had been through a rough past. Her ex had left her suddenly without warning. On the surface, she seemed fine. But every time my friend got a little distant or didn't answer her texts right away, she panicked. Not because she was controlling, but because that old wound whispered, "It's happening again. You're about to be abandoned." And here's the thing. When she didn't feel secure, she became defensive, even argumentative. But the moment he showed consistency, regular calls, clear words, actions that matched his promises, she softened. The walls came down. Security unlocked her true self. Now let's be honest for a moment. We men also crave security, don't we? Imagine being with someone who's hot and cold, affectionate one day and distant the next. You'd go crazy trying to figure out where you stand. Women feel the same, but often more intensely, because biology, history, and even society have placed them in more vulnerable positions. Their desire for security isn't greed, it's survival. So what's the takeaway? If you want to love a woman deeply, give her stability. Not just financial stability, but emotional stability. Be the kind of man whose words mean something, whose actions are steady, whose presence feels like a shelter in the storm. Because here's the truth. When a woman feels secure with you, she can give you a version of love you've never experienced before. A love without fear, a love without walls, a love that feels like home. The fourth weakness you absolutely need to understand about women is their longing for attention. Now before you roll your eyes and think, "Oh, she just wants to be the center of everything," hear me out. This isn't about vanity. It's about love. It's about the simple but powerful human need to feel seen. Let me ask you something. Have you ever been in a room full of people, laughing and talking but still felt invisible? Maybe nobody asked about your day, or nobody noticed the little effort you put into showing up. It stings, doesn't it? That quiet ache of being overlooked? That's exactly what a woman feels when the man she loves doesn't give her his attention. And the truth is, it's rarely about the big, dramatic gestures. You don't have to shower her with gifts or write her poetry every week. Often it's the small things. Looking her in the eyes when she talks, putting your phone down when she's sharing a story, remembering the details she told you last week. To her, those little things scream louder than any expensive present. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." And for a woman, when her man constantly overlooks her, when his attention is scattered everywhere except on her, her thoughts slowly get colored with doubt. Does he really care? Am I important to him? Or am I just here? Let me share a story. A guy I knew worked long hours, always chasing success. He loved his girlfriend, but when she tried to talk about her day, he often replied with half an ear while scrolling through his emails. To him, he was providing for the relationship. To her, she was invisible. Over time, her laughter faded. Her energy dimmed, not because she stopped loving him, but because she no longer felt seen by him. When he finally realized what was happening and began giving her small, intentional moments of attention, looking into her eyes, asking about her thoughts, holding her hand in silence, her spirit lit up again. Attention is oxygen to love. Without it, the relationship suffocates. Now think about your own experiences. Have you ever felt frustrated when you shared something important, and the other person wasn't really listening? Maybe they nodded, but you could tell their mind was somewhere else. How did that make you feel? That same frustration? magnified by love, is what she feels when she longs for your attention and doesn't get it. Here's the secret. When you give her attention, not as an obligation but as a choice, she blossoms. She feels valued. She feels cherished. And in return, she pours even more love, respect, and loyalty back into you. So don't underestimate this weakness. Attention isn't just a nice extra. It's the foundation of connection. And the man who learns to give it, not just when it's convenient, but when it truly matters, builds a bond that almost nothing can break. The fifth weakness you must understand is a woman's fear of abandonment. And let's be honest, it's not just women, right? Nobody likes the thought of being left behind. But for women, this fear often runs deeper, sometimes all the way back to childhood experiences, past heartbreaks, or even society's expectations. It's like a quiet shadow that follows her into relationships, whispering, what if he leaves? What if I'm not enough? What if I give my whole heart and he just walks away? Have you ever felt that pit in your stomach? When someone you love started acting distant? Maybe they didn't text back for hours. Maybe their tone shifted. Maybe they stopped saying I love you as often. Didn't your mind start racing? That uncomfortable, restless feeling, that's just a small taste of what many women feel almost constantly in relationships when they don't feel reassured. Marcus Aurelius once reminded himself, don't be overheard complaining, not even to yourself. But the truth is, when a woman fears abandonment, she will complain sometimes, not because she wants to nag, but because she's searching for reassurance. That complaining often sounds like, do you still love me? Or why didn't you call? It's not about the little event. It's about silencing the storm inside her head. Let me tell you a story. A friend of mine was dating a woman who had been cheated on in her previous relationship. She loved him, but her fear of being left again made her anxious. If he didn't reply to her messages quickly, she'd spiral. Not because she didn't trust him, but because old wounds whispered, it's happening again. At first he got annoyed. He thought, why does she need so much reassurance? Doesn't she know I'm loyal? But when he shifted his mindset, when he started sending little reminders of his love, throughout the day, simple things like, thinking of you, or can't wait to see you later, her fear began to fade. She relaxed, trusted him more, and ironically became less clingy. And maybe you've seen this too. Some women test you not because they want drama, but because they want to know, will you stay even when it's not easy? Will you fight for me? Or will you leave the moment things get tough? Those little tests, those small complaints, are often her way of saying, please prove to me that I'm safe with you. Now here's where a lot of men slip up. They confuse reassurance with weakness. They think, if I keep reminding her, she'll get spoiled. But the opposite is true. Reassurance is like water to her soul. It calms, nourishes, and gives her the courage to open herself fully to you. So here's the wisdom. The fear of abandonment doesn't mean she's broken. It means she loves deeply, maybe even a little too much. And if you can meet that fear with consistency, with patience, and with love, she will give you loyalty that no storm can shake. Because once a woman knows without a doubt that you won't leave when the road gets rough, she will walk with you anywhere. The sixth weakness every man must understand is a woman's conflict with self-worth. Now let's be real. How many of us have had moments where we looked in the mirror, scrolled through social media, or compared ourselves to someone else and thought, am I enough? It's uncomfortable, right? But for many women, this feeling runs much deeper. Society constantly bombards them with impossible beauty standards, career expectations, and relationship ideals, making them question their value, even when they're amazing. Have you ever noticed a woman who seems confident, radiant, and happy, yet occasionally says something self-deprecating? Something like, I wish I looked like her, or I'm not as accomplished as she is. Those words aren't just casual comments. They're little cracks in how she feels about herself. And here's the tricky part. Even if you tell her she's beautiful, even if you tell her she's brilliant, those words sometimes feel like drops in a vast ocean of doubt. Marcus Aurelius wrote, the opinion of 10,000 men is of no value if none of them know anything about the subject. And that's exactly what happens here. A woman hears endless opinions from strangers, friends, colleagues, social media, and she weighs them all against herself. She may know logically that she's amazing, but emotionally, she struggles to believe it. Let me share a story. A friend of mine was dating a woman who had recently started a new job. On the surface, she was thriving. Her colleagues loved her. She was excelling and she looked unstoppable. But at night, she would confide in him about her fears. I feel like I'm not smart enough for this position, or everyone else is better than me. He tried to reassure her, but she still doubted herself. It wasn't about him. It was about her inner struggle with self-worth. Over time, he realized that the best way to support her wasn't just compliments. It was to actively listen, acknowledge her fears, and remind her of her achievements in concrete ways. Slowly, she began to trust herself more, and their relationship grew stronger because he became her anchor. Here's the thing. This conflict with self-worth is a vulnerability. Yes, but it's also an opportunity. It's an invitation for a man to step up, not as a savior, but as a partner who mirrors back her value, her strengths, and her potential. Ask yourself, when someone you love doubts themselves, how do you respond? Do you get frustrated? Or do you patiently remind them of what they bring to the world, even when they can't see it? Women may hide this weakness behind confidence, humor, or independence, but it's there, and if you recognize it, you can turn what feels like fragility into the foundation for trust and connection. So here's the insight. A woman's struggle with self-worth isn't a flaw, it's a reflection of how deeply she wants to matter, both to herself and to the people she loves. And when a man can understand, support, and validate her in this struggle, he doesn't just gain her love, he gains her trust, her respect, and a bond that goes far beyond surface-level attraction. Because once she feels truly valued, not just by the world, but by the one she loves, she will give a depth of love that's rare, fierce, and unforgettable. The seventh weakness every man should understand is a woman's attachment to memories. Now I want you to pause for a second and think about your own life. Have you ever held on to a memory that made you smile, or even one that still stung? Maybe it's a fight with a friend, a comment someone made years ago, or a moment when you felt overlooked. Memories have a way of sticking, of shaping how we feel in the present. For women, this attachment can be especially strong. Women often store emotional details with remarkable precision. Dates, conversations, small gestures, both good and bad, can linger in their minds far longer than you might expect. A simple offhand comment you made 2 years ago, she probably remembers it, not because she wants to hold grudges, but because her mind links events to emotions. And emotions, as we know, are powerful. They shape the way she perceives the world, her relationships, and even you. Marcus Aurelius said, "Time is like a river, the events of life a fleeting stream." But here's the thing, for women, certain events in that stream don't just float away. They swirl, circle, and come back to the surface. That forgotten argument, that unintentional insult, that night you didn't call when she expected it. These moments can resurface when she's stressed, anxious, or just thinking about your relationship. Let me share a story. A friend of mine was dating a woman who had been hurt in past relationships. One day she brought up a small comment he had made months earlier, something he barely remembered. To him, it was insignificant. To her, it represented a deeper feeling of being undervalued. At first, he felt frustrated. Why bring that up now? He thought. But when he stopped, really listened, and acknowledged her feelings, something changed. She felt heard, validated, and understood. That memory, once a point of tension, became an opportunity for deeper connection. Have you ever experienced this yourself? Where a memory you thought was long forgotten suddenly reappears, bringing old feelings with it? That's exactly how she feels when past moments linger in her mind. And it's not about being petty, it's about the human need for emotional coherence. She wants to understand her feelings, and part of that is remembering how events made her feel. Here's the insight. When a woman brings up a memory, she's not trying to attack you or make you feel guilty. She's seeking acknowledgement. She's looking for you to see how her heart experienced that moment and to understand her perspective. Your response can either deepen her trust or create distance. So what should you do? Listen. Validate her emotions. Don't dismiss or minimize the memory. Even if it seems trivial to you, it mattered to her, and that matters even more. Because when you honor her past experiences, you're not just respecting her memory, you're showing her that her feelings, her story, and her heart are safe with you. Once you understand this, her attachment to memories stops being a weakness to navigate carefully. It becomes a bridge to connect with her on a deeper, more meaningful level. And that connection, that's where real love lives. The eighth weakness every man should understand is a woman's craving for deep connection. Now think for a moment. Have you ever been with someone who seemed present, physically but distant emotionally? Maybe they nodded, laughed at your jokes, but there was this invisible wall you couldn't quite break through. Frustrating, right? Well, women feel this constantly, sometimes even more intensely. Women often long for connection that goes beyond surface-level conversation. They want intimacy that isn't just physical, but emotional, mental, and sometimes even spiritual. It's that feeling of being completely seen, understood, and valued, not just for what she does, but for who she truly is inside. Marcus Aurelius once said, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one." And in relationships, being a good man often means being willing to open your own heart, to share your vulnerabilities, and to invite her into your world. Let me tell you a story. A friend of mine was dating a woman who seemed perfect on the surface. She laughed easily, was fun, and shared adventures. But after a few months, she started withdrawing, becoming quiet and reserved. My friend couldn't understand it. He thought, "She's fine. We spend time together, we're happy." But here's the thing, she felt no real connection. She craved a man who would ask about her dreams, her fears, the little things that mattered to her in ways no one else did. When he finally started asking questions, listening deeply, and sharing his own thoughts and feelings, something amazing happened. She opened up fully, laughed more freely, and their bond became unshakable. Here's the truth. Women don't just want attention, they want presence. A simple conversation about her day won't cut it if it's mechanical or distracted. She wants you to look her in the eyes, to remember the details she shares, to respond with empathy and understanding. It's about creating a space where she can be herself without fear of judgment, a space where her heart feels safe to open. Have you ever experienced that kind of connection yourself? That rare moment when someone truly listens, not just hears but understands? It's powerful. It creates trust, intimacy, and a bond that's difficult to break. For women, craving deep connection is like a compass. It guides how they invest their love, energy, and loyalty. Without it, even the most loving gestures can feel hollow. The insight here is simple. Connection isn't just a nice to have, it's essential. When a woman feels deeply connected to you, she doesn't just love you. She trusts you, respects you, and feels aligned with you on a level that transcends ordinary relationships. She feels safe enough to reveal her whole self, flaws and all, because she knows you'll accept her completely. So if you want to understand a woman's heart, listen, share, and show up not just in body, but in mind and spirit. Because when you meet her craving for deep connection, you unlock a love that's rare, profound, and unforgettable. The ninth and final weakness every man must understand is a woman's struggle to balance independence and dependence. Now think about this. In today's world, women are stronger, smarter, and more independent than ever. They pursue careers, chase dreams, and carve out lives that are fully their own. And that's amazing. But here's the catch. Despite all that strength, there's often a quiet part of her that longs to lean on someone else, to feel supported, and to know that she doesn't have to carry everything alone. Have you ever been in a relationship where she seemed completely self-sufficient, yet at the same time wanted reassurance, comfort, or guidance? It can feel confusing. One moment she's confident and capable. The next, she's seeking a hand to hold, literally or emotionally. This isn't weakness, it's human. Even the strongest people want to feel safe enough to rely on someone they trust. Marcus Aurelius once said, "Man is not what he thinks he is what he hides." That's exactly it. Women often hide this struggle. Outwardly, she might project independence, ambition, and control. But deep down, she fears being alone, fears that leaning on someone makes her vulnerable, and fears that showing dependence could be seen as a flaw. It's a delicate balance. She wants to be strong, but she also wants a partner who can be her anchor when life gets heavy. Let me tell you a story. A friend of mine dated a woman who had built her life from the ground up. She was fiercely independent, and he admired that about her. But when she faced challenges, stress at work, family issues, emotional fatigue, she hesitated to ask for help. She didn't want to seem needy. He noticed, and instead of pressuring her, he created a safe space where she could lean on him without guilt. Over time, she realized she could share her burdens and still maintain her independence. That balance allowed their relationship to deepen in ways neither had expected. Now ask yourself, how many times have you met a woman who says she doesn't need anyone, yet secretly craves comfort, reassurance, or emotional support? That tension between independence and dependence isn't contradictory, it's a natural part of being human. Women want to be strong and autonomous, but they also want to know that they don't have to carry everything alone, that they have a partner who can match their strength and hold space for their vulnerabilities. The insight here is simple but profound. If you understand this struggle, you can become a partner who respects her independence while providing a safe harbor for her moments of dependence. You don't diminish her strength by offering support. You enhance it by being reliable, empathetic, and present. Once a woman knows she can navigate life with her own power while still leaning on you when needed, something extraordinary happens. She doesn't just love you, she trusts you deeply. She respects you profoundly, and she feels a connection that goes far beyond superficial attraction, because at the heart of every strong woman is the need for a partner who can honor both her independence and her vulnerability. And when you understand that, you unlock a love that's balanced, resilient, and unforgettable. Thank you for watching. If this video gave you new insight, make sure to like, share, and subscribe to Stoic Mysteries, where wisdom and psychology meet to unlock the truths about life and love.